Hey guys, welcome back. We are once again working on our swamp project today, and as promised at the end of last episode, I have a fun little project in mind, which I have been very excited for ever since I first thought of it. So, up on this hill, we have a sign to make a building or shrine, and this is where I want to do some work today, because I finally have a cool idea for the shrine I want to make. You see, I was thinking about the culture on this island, and while we have the Morning Tower over there for those who have recently passed, we don't currently have anything for those who have been gone for longer, since they don't have graveyards or anything. So I thought it makes sense that they would have a shrine in remembrance of all their ancestors and those who have been lost. So I think the first thing we're going to need to do is give this hill a bit of a makeover, because it's definitely still a little rough around the edges. I don't think we've really touched the terrain around here at all, so let's get that sorted. That looks so much better. Now, probably the most noticeable thing that's different about this area compared to everything else we've built on the island so far is the fact that I used cherry trees instead of azalea. This is partly because it's the only other leaf type that actually keeps its colour in the swamp, but it's mostly because of their symbolism. Traditionally, cherry trees are very much associated with life, but also its fleeting nature, and that's why I really wanted to use them here. After all, the immediacy of the morning period is already represented in the tower, so by the time people are coming to this shrine, it's more about remembering people's lives and the new life they have with their ancestors. I also reused my previous trick of using vanilla tree designs and changing the logs and leaves, and this time I decided to go for an acacia design because they are quite distinct and feel very different from the other trees we already have on this island, which I really like. This will be the only place on the island with cherry trees, so I wanted it to feel very deliberate and distinctive, which I think we've managed to achieve. We also have this nice little waterfall, which I really like. Water is a bit of a pain to work with in Minecraft, as I'm sure many of you know from experience, but I actually really like the shape this makes down the hill. And I also had it run off into the river that goes around the island, which I think gives it a sense of movement, which feels really good. I'm also very much looking forward to designing this whole area down here between these two hills, and I think I might put a little tree or something on this little area that we've ended up with, because I think that could look pretty cool. But anyway, back on top of the hill we have the actual shrine, which I think has a certain charm to it. We've got the two statues to either side with their sword, which kind of feel like guardians, or maybe statues dedicated to people who died in an ancient war or something. And then we have the shrine itself, which is completely surrounded by candles that people lit in memories of their loved ones. And we also have two more kneeling statues, but this time they're a little less protectors and more representations of the ancestors who are also kneeling in memory of their fallen. And finally, we have the main part of the shrine itself, and I wanted to make sure it felt grand, so I made it quite a bit taller than the statues, and gave it this nice little detail at the top, which kind of looks like a cross. I didn't particularly intend for that, but I like the way it looks as it gives it a sort of ornate carved look, which is exactly what I was going for. However, you may notice that this lower section feels a little bare. It's got a little platform for people to kneel on and pray at, but that is pretty much it. But never fear, for I have a bit of an idea for how we can make this feel a little bit more detailed and hopefully add that final missing element from this area. And in order to do that, we're going to need to take a little trip to the end. Yep, it's time for some more transparent maps. In fact, I think we're going to need 3 of them to get the effect I have in mind, so let's get going. Oh man, I really hope this is going to have the effect I'm looking for. So we have our 3 maps, all of which are locked, and now we just need to put them all up on the shrine and see how it looks. I think that is exactly what I was hoping for. Honestly, these transparent maps are such a game changer because there is no other way to add detail like this, and I absolutely love it. And then as for the design itself, I really wanted to use that sort of knotted pattern like the floor by the portal, because this feels like a sort of grand monument like the portal where some time and effort would have been worth it. And oh man, I really do love the way it looks. And as for what it says, well, you guys may remember that back in the end project, we used a little bit of the enchantment table language or standard galactic alphabet to make signs on the stairs for which cardinal direction you were looking in. And I love the idea of using this language when building instead of using English, because it just feels a little bit more otherworldly, and I think especially somewhere like this ancient culture definitely would have used it. But don't worry, I'm not going to make you go and translate it. That would be a little bit too mean. So it says, "In memory of our fallen, may they live in the air and never be forgotten." And to me, that just feels right for this culture. It's remembrance, but those people aren't gone. They're simply living a new life in the air along with all those who came before them. And man, I just love this project in this area. I mean, like I said at the start, I've been so excited to make this hill ever since I first thought of it, and I am so happy with how it's all came out, and so glad it's now actually in my world so I can come here and see it instead of just thinking about it. But unfortunately, I think that's about all we have time for today, but I am very happy with how it went, and I hope you guys like this little hill. I think next time we may tackle that space between the 2 hills that I mentioned before, because that has really got my mind going, so I hope you're looking forward to that. Until then, Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!